It's time for another edition of our Game Time Tour. We're now joined by men's golf coach Jake Amos. This Game Time Tour brought to you by Alumni Hall. Coach, let's talk about, obviously, you had a great fall. You won a tournament. You had a couple second-place finishes. You carried that momentum into an outstanding spring, and then it got stopped. Before it got stopped, just talk about how well your team was playing.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest disappointments, really, is the fact that, we did so many great things that we hope they will get remembered. We were kind of building in something special, not going to lie. We have a small roster, but kind of the difference between the fall and the spring is our freshmen were getting more settled and they were contributing more to the team. And you could see that with Sam Espinosa's finish in his last event, basically. He finished top 10 and he was essentially our 5 guy. And Trevor was starting to play well. I think it's really disappointing because we were probably favorites, especially in the rankings, to win the Southern Conference, go to regionals. A lot of our guys hadn't been to regionals for a long time. I think Jack and Shisto went as individuals, but it's pretty special doing that as a team, and we were pretty much locked in to do that too. So, we did so many great things. It's hard for me to just pinpoint one, but the main thing I'm proud of is we killed it in school last fall. We're doing well again this year. We were top 25 most of the year. So, for me, it was a very successful first year.
And let's talk a little bit about then the abrupt stop happened. And obviously, there's a lot of unknown when it happened. Just talk about you and your team sort of hearing that there was going to be a stoppage, then obviously the cancellation, and then really thinking about safety. And, a lot of your guys aren't from America and trying to figure out, how are we going to take care of those athletes? How are we going to keep them safe? How can we get them home if possible?
Yeah, so it was funny. We played 2 events in the spring. We finished second at Florida State. We did a lot of really good things there, and then we struggled at Myrtle Beach, and kind of our 1, 2, 3 guys really struggled. And we were on the way back talking in the van, and I'd set up a meeting. I think this was like a Tuesday, and I'd set up a meeting with Archie on give guys a couple of days off. Said, hey, Friday, let's talk about how we can get better for our spring break trip, Congaree, and the Hootie coming up in Charleston. And literally from that time, from 2 days off to having that meeting with Archie and talking about some stuff, and it was, hey, sorry guys, this is it. We're done. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Was everyone's sitting in my office and they're like, they're in disbelief. I'm in disbelief. I think it was almost like ripping a Band-Aid off. I'm glad they did it like that because, it was the same for everybody. It would have been worse if they dragged it on and had a lot of grey area and uncertainty. So that aspect was great. And then all of a sudden, you're very selfish. You're thinking about yourself and thinking about, oh, my season's over. What's this mean for me? Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you take a step back and you're like, wow, we need to start looking after each other now. And I think that's what the school and the NCAA did a really good job of, was kind of taking all those decisions out for us and like, okay, let's start focusing on, how we can help people, how we can, get people home, let people stay. Sam Espinosa's from Spain, and they're really struggling right now in Spain. So the school's done an unbelievable job supporting him, letting him stay on campus, giving him the resources he needs. So, he feels safe here because he can't go home. So, I'm just really grateful for that. And now everybody's home and realizing the gravity of the situation. I think we're pretty lucky that, everything stopped the way it did. And disappointed because we're having a great year. But, the NCAA's given us an extra year, so that's really not an issue anymore. And now we just got to make sure everybody's staying safe and healthy for next year.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing with the spring. And then there's still a lot of questions. I know you don't have all the answers because it's all fairly new, but everyone sort of gets a red shirt. So for all the kids that want to be able to come back and play and have an extra year because you weren't able to finish your season, it's the same for everybody. So I think that's good, but that also probably provides some challenges in some forms and maybe great news in another form.
Yeah, recruiting's going to be changing. There's a lot of unintended consequences of that decision. How's it going to affect the recruiting classes going forward? Conversations with players saying, hey, do you want to come back? It's going to be good for some others it's not going to be good for. So you kind of just have to weigh the pros and cons, but it's also, you got to start having a lot of conversations with freshmen, sophomore, hey, academically, is this a good thing for you to do it in 4 years or 5 years? But I think the big thing is we're going to start having those conversations with our players, like, hey, what's your plans? Because ultimately it affects a coach as a recruiting and the team dynamic and roster limits and all those other crazy things, scholarship limits, staying in your 4.5. I haven't really kind of really dug in and thought about it a ton. I've got to have some talks with my guys. I want to look after them first and then kind of see how recruiting goes after that. But yes, it's crazy.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time and glad you a blessing for you to get to spend some time with your family as well. I know this is a time of year you probably don't see them a whole lot. So hope you enjoy that. Stay safe, and thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks. And I hope everyone's being safe too and enjoying this time with the family. I am, and I'm hoping my wife, thinks the same, but that's to be determined.
All right, that's Coach Amos with us with men's golf. This Game Time Tour was brought to you by Alumni Hall.